come clear of the stack, he can now retract his sides. You can see him coming in under hydraulic pressure. One nearest to you, nearly in. So now the one on the other side comes in. And then the whole body will be brought back into the horizontal position, and he's way off to the field for yet another load. Now, as I told you, they're 140, 14 high, and this teleporter will add three more piles to each stack to make it 17 in all. Similar machine to the ones you saw working in the field. Four-wheel steering, four-wheel drive, powered by Ford engines. Why they are stacked 17 high and not 20 or 15, I have no idea, but I hope later on to get an interview with Mr. Temple himself, and no doubt he will tell us the reason for this. That's the large stack of bales at that particular farm. Here we have the dear old-fashioned pitchfork, still in use, indispensable even in this modern days technology. The forklift driver here putting down a base for the next pile of bales. Nothing really changes. And here we come with another load of bales. Now, if you look carefully at the wheels on this particular tractor, you will notice that the front ones are what might be called the wrong way round. And this is because when these vehicles are working in the field in wet weather and have to drive those forks underneath a big pile of bales, they can get wheel spin going backwards. So the front tires are taken off and turned round, and this gives them sufficient traction from their front wheel drive to push the forks underneath the pile of bales. And here we have yet another load being delivered. Just backing in onto the stack. And this goes on all day long, from dawn till dusk virtually, if the weather is good. Just pull up a little, get it dead square, and then back into position. There's a side coming down, look. Up goes the body and back into position on the stack. As you sit and watch it in the comfort of your lounge, it looks a rather slow process, but in actual fact it takes very little time at all to tip one of these things, a matter of about 2 minutes in total, and a very efficient method of moving straw. There he goes, gradually pulling forward, away from it. Closing up the sides. And then tipping back to the horizontal position. Seems to take a long while when you're waiting for it, but I imagine the man in the cab is fairly busy with his levers. And off he goes. Well, now just a couple more close-up shots of topping up the stack. Interesting to see how flat those bales are underneath when they're only supported by hooks in the bale carrier from above. See the half-round hooks there in the machine that turn over and grip the bales as he picks them up. Little nudge in the stack there, one row standing out a bit foul, so he just gave it a nudge to make it upright. Now if you watch those hooks, you will see them go down and grip the bales. So, and up we come again. And now I think we're seeing the last lift of the day. Up it goes into the blue sky. And forward, and on goes number 17. Down he comes, ready and waiting for the next load. Wheat. So far we have been looking entirely at the barley harvest and the carting and moving of barley straw. Now we're going to see something of the wheat harvest. This particular field has 84 acres in it of the variety Haven. It is situated at Field Alling in North Norfolk. The method of harvesting wheat is almost identical to that of barley, but in this particular instance, the straw leaving the back of the combine is finely chopped up so that it can be ploughed straight into the ground, the wheat straw being considered unsuitable for animal feed or for bedding. In the old days, when wheat was thrashed with a thrashing drum, the straw came out in much better condition, but the drum on the modern combine knocks it about so much it's not really much use, and hence it's chopped up and ploughed in and not baled. You will see the vast clouds of dust that this fine chopping creates. Here we have another view of the combine approaching us, and I'll let you hear the sound the machinery makes and see the dust cloud as the machine passes the camera. Here we have another view of the combining approaching us, and this time it's accompanied by the tractor and trailer ready to receive its load of wheat. You'll note the flashing light on the combine. There goes the flow of corn, and you saw the tractor there do a little swerve to get his trailer exactly under the flow of grain. The tank on the combine holds 3 tons, and the combining rate here is approximately 20 tons an hour. Mr. Temple tells me that the yield from this particular field is in the region of 4 tons per acre. One can see the cloud of dust in the background, but the tractor driver is running slightly ahead of the combine, and so most of the dust is behind him and is not affected by it. In any case, most of the modern tractor cabs are dust-proof and even air-conditioned. Here we are back at Coppice Green Farm at Wyton to see the trailer load of wheat arriving at the store. Unlike barley, wheat is stored in flat floored buildings and not in the tall silos that we saw earlier. We can see it there being discharged into the belt conveyor which takes it to the top of the building. We're looking now at the drums of propionic acid, which is used to maintain the keeping qualities of the grain in the big stores, prevent it moulding or heating in any way. Each one of these drums costs £135, and the chemical is added to the grain at the rate of 1 gallon per tonne for every 16% of moisture content. Now, I'm told the moisture content of the wheat today is approximately 14.5%, so that there's rather less than 1 gallon per tonne going on. We're now looking at the wheat being fed onto the base of the large conveyor, rubber belt this is, which takes it right up to the eaves of the building. The wheat is going into the store here at the rate of approximately 50 tonnes an hour. This building will hold 1,200 tonnes of wheat, and the heap we're looking at the moment is, as near as we can say, 1,000 tonnes. So another 200 to go in before the building is full. There we can see the tip trailer, nearly empty now, feeding into a small hopper, and thence via an auger into the large belt conveyor. Tractor driver standing by watching. Here is the metering device, which has to be adjusted when each load arrives, and the moisture test taken to determine the exact amount of propionic acid to add to that particular load. If you look, you can see the rubber pipe there from the metering device stretching away and entering the auger at that point there, so that by the time the grain has been through the auger and up the long elevator and onto the heap, the acid is thoroughly mixed with the grain. And off the trailer goes to get another load of wheat from the combine. And we'll just zoom up now and have a last look at the small hopper into which he has been tipping, and the big heap of grain behind it. Yes, John, fine. That's kind of you to give me 5 minutes of your time. Well, now you've seen what we've done on the film, the pictures of harvest. Tell us, what sort of harvest has it been?
Well, that's been a very easy one, and I would think average. Probably the wheat harvest have been a little above average. In fact, all the winter cereals have been a little above average because they haven't suffered with the severe drought we've had in '91. You know, they had the benefit of the winter moisture, but the spring barleys were not so good because, you know, lack of moisture.
Well, the spring barleys that we actually filmed, of course.
Yes, and that was about the worst we had.
Well, that was unfortunate.
Yeah.
You must blame the cameraman.
That's
Now,
right.
it seems to me we're still in the middle of August. Well, not the middle, the end of August, and you've had all your harvest tackle cleaned and put away several days, which means it must be an early harvest.
Well, yes, and this have happened in the last 3 years. We've had now 3 dry harvests, and as I said, very easy harvest, but certainly average harvest. You know, I think the grain harvests have been very satisfactory. That's what's to come afterwards, which is we're
Yes.
really going to suffer.
But it is no way a recordly early harvest.
Oh no, last year we finished harvest last year on the 8th of August. So this year isn't quite so soon as last year.
No. I suppose being so dry, it seems so early. What about yields?
Well, I think the wheat have just about done 4 tonnes an acre.
On average?
All round, on
Yeah.
average. The winter barley was just about 3 tonnes an acre. There was only 48 acres of winter barley. And then the winter barley, some which had suffered severely through the drought, being late drilled because sheep was on the ground prior to being drilled. That was struggled to make 2 tonnes an acre.
Mm.
And some of the spring barleys got up to nearly 3. But I suppose on average about possibly 2.5 tonnes of.
And was the winter barley malting barley, or
No, everything was feeding.
only you used to grow some malting barley?
Yes, everything is feeding now. In fact, you know, we're now growing, I suppose, in excess of 2,000 tonnes of cereals, and virtually 2,000 tonnes go into cattle. If we have a surplus next July, well, that's sold off just before we start harvest again. This year, from last year's crop, we had a surplus of 300 tonnes of wheat, which we was able to sell, you know, this last July.
I think probably thinking back to the film, some of the things that the non-farming fraternity are going to be most interested in is the handling of the straw. I'm sure there are lots of people that go up and down the lane here with their dogs and they see these great piles of straw around them and never realise the work and the technology that goes into putting it here. So how many bales of straw do you actually make in the course of a year?
Straw and hay, we bale, I should think, about 135 to 140,000 bales per annum.
140,000 bales. Straw and hay.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said to you before, if you look at statistics, that takes about 470 miles of string to tie that lot up.
And was that in terms of money?
In terms of money, between £2,000 and £3,000 worth of string.
Good God. We were also looking at the popcorn thing and all those drums. You did tell me how much each drum cost, but how much money spent on preserving the grain in the stores?
Well, not so much this last 2 years because the wheat have come in at low enough moistures. Some of it haven't wanted any popcorn on it at all, but we still put a little on to play safe. I would think a half